Hey everyone, we are in October and this is the season of Samhain, and it's also the season of our spiritual realm being more open. Some call it the veil of being thin, some say the portal being open. However you experience it, it is a time that we can access more energy to connect with those on the other side. Now, recently I did pose a question, are you connecting to those on the other side, the spirit realm? And some of you have said no. So if that is you and you are having a hard time connecting to the other side, I just wanted to go over some things about that. One of the first things I always suggest when connecting to the other side is creating a safe space. You want to make sure you are protected and where you live is also protected, or even the space you're in or at is a protected space. So we call that open in a circle of protection. Basically, it means that you are setting a boundary around you to protect you. This is the time of the year that the portal is open, the circle is open, the veil is open, so that you may easily connect to those on the other side, or they can easily connect to you. But we don't want any energy coming towards us, because that can create a lot of other things to happen in your life that you may not want and you may not be able to get rid of. So I always say, anytime you are practicing spell work or magic or spirit connection, divination, anything that puts you, your physical body and your spiritual body, in the path of other energies and spirits to connect to you. So always cast that circle of protection. You don't need a whole slew of things to do that. You need yourself. You need your words. You need yourself. You can have your finger. You don't need a wand. You don't even need to use your finger to do that. Cast in that circle of protection. You can basically visualize it. Sometimes we are in spaces that other people may be at, but we're in a private area and we don't want to cause attention to us. So you can visualize that circle of protection all around you, visualizing white light, visualizing even salt being all the way around you that you've blessed and charged. Even if you're not using the physical makeup of it, you want to be able to do that. If you have the time, definitely use a wand. Definitely you use essential oils and herbs and crystals and gemstones if you have the time. If not, it's not necessary. But you do want to have a boundary around you that is keeping you safe, so that not all energy can come in, because you may not be able to get rid of that energy. If you're unsure of how to do this after some of the suggestions I just said, please connect with someone that you know who can further assist you and help you with that. You shouldn't be playing with the spirit realm. This is not a toy. So you want to make sure that you are being safe and protected at all times. And even still, even if you're calling upon your ancestors, I always say I call upon my ancestors who wish me well, because there may be some ancestors who are tricksters. There may be some ancestors who don't want anything to do with their ancestral line and have no goodwill towards you. So I always make that clear. I also say it clearly for the spirits coming forth. Those who wish me well may enter. Those who don't may not. So that way I am setting that boundary and making sure I am being safe and protected during the time of connection. Even like I said, even if I'm just pulling, cards from the tarot or oracle deck, I always connect and cast a circle for myself, so that way no energy is coming through that I may not want. Because we don't always know who's coming through. So if you are not setting a boundary, if you are not casting a circle basically to protect you, anything can come forth, and we don't want that. Now at the end, you also want to make sure that you release the energies that came forth. They shouldn't be staying. This is not their realm. So even though you've invited them in, just like a guest in your home, you want to make sure they also leave and go home from where they came. So at the end of your session, of your circle cast. And when you leave, you make sure you thank them and make sure escort them out and that they go back from where they came. And that's when you release that circle and open it up so they can now go forth back from where they came. Ways to connect to the other side. Prayer is a great way to do that. So start in basics, simply stating some prayers that, you know, I thank you for being part of my life. I wish that you would come forth, and sit in meditation after whatever prayer you say. We can't force them to be with us, even though we are setting aside time to be with them. It may not be the time that they want to be with you. They may come forth through other ways. So if you want to have spirit communication, you need to be more open with your way that you are doing things. You need to remember that you have to use all of your senses, not just the one that we can physically see somebody. They are in a spirit form now, and not all of us have that clear gift of visualization of who we are seeing and speaking with in the spirit realm. They may come through with other accesses to your senses, such as smell and taste, using the energies around you, like the wind and the rain when it wasn't doing that, and then it did it for a few minutes or a few seconds. They may access your dream world. So before bed, you can always ask your third eye to be open to receive the messages from the spirit realm that you wish to connect with, those who wish you well. I always clarify those who wish me well, or even take it a step further, those who wish me well and no harm or no ill will. And have your dream world open. So hopefully you can have that connection through the dream realm, or messages through that part of your insight and access. Sometimes, again, we have to be patient because it may not be the day that we want it or the night that we want it to happen. They may be trying, but it may take several days or even weeks or even a month or more for you to get that message. Even though the veil is thin right now, as most people say, it doesn't mean that you're going to be able to connect with them in the way that you're hoping for. So like I said, you have to also practice on your gifts. So use those gifts of oracle decks and tarot cards, of runes, and other forms of divination. If you've never, used a spirit board before, an Ouija board, I wouldn't start with that. You mainly want to start with things that are more basic. A pendulum, like I said, tarot cards or oracle cards are easier than tarot cards to use because they're very simple. You can either, if you don't have a deck, write a bunch of words down, tear up the papers, put a word on each paper, a sticky note, and use those as a card. So that way you don't have to have a basic deck. You can write a bunch of different words, one word on each sticky note to use. Flip them all upside down so you can't see them. And after you cast in your circle of protection, put your hands over those. Say, I wish to communicate with whoever on the other side. Put your hands over them. So hopefully you are receiving that energy. And when you feel it, touch the card, touch the sticky note with your hand and flip it over to see what message that you have gotten. You can do that with the 3 cards and state that first. I'm going to use 3 cards for messages to be received from you, and that way you can go over 3 of them and see if it makes sense to you. Sometimes things don't make sense, and that's okay too, but we need to be able to remember that we are in their realm, not just ours. So they are going to communicate with you sometimes and many times in ways that don't seem as clear to us as it does to them. Sometimes things can come through with music. If you love music, you may hear different songs on the radio that remind you of them, or repeated songs like throughout this whole week. Every day you hear the song that you have not heard in ages, and all of a sudden you're hearing it every single day. You may smell different flowers outside or different scents outside that remind you of them. You may see things outside. Nature is another way to connect to the spirit realm. I love walking in nature. It's one of the greatest ways I connect with divinity, and also different gods and goddesses that I like to connect with. And I find for me, because I am very much a nature practitioner, that it is my way of opening up to the other realm by going into nature. So get outside in nature and sit near a tree. Sit in an area near water. Water is a great form also of divination because you can access that other realm. Water is almost like using a mirror, and that's another way, like black mirrors. A lot of people use them when scrying. So you can scry with water. If you can't get near a body of water, such as a lake, a pond, or the ocean, you can always use a bowl of water, but I would suggest the bowl be like a dark color, like navy blue, dark green, or even black and dark gray, because that way it helps you not to see so much reflection as the lighter colors do. That can, if you have any lights on, it can make a glare on it, so it doesn't make it as clear for you to look at. Also using your crystals. You can access your crystals through meditation. Holding different crystals in your hand that help you receive messages from the other side. Quartz is a great one because you can program it to other crystals. You can use it itself. It amplifies energy. So just clear quartz. It's easily accessible to get, and it's easily usable for you. So especially during meditation, not so much in dream realms, because if you're trying to sleep, it can interrupt your sleep. It can make you stay awake and energize you or have broken sleep. So if you find that you have quartz in your bedroom, I would probably take it out if you don't sleep very well. If you find that you have broken sleep, interrupted sleep, not able to sleep, and you have quartz in your room, put it elsewhere. But definitely use it if you're trying to do meditation and other types of work that you are using that for. Like I said, essential oils. Essential oils is another way to do that as well, because you can put those drops on using a carrier oil. Carrier oils are base oils, so that way it helps to smooth out that scent and not cause any type of reaction to your skin. So if you do put it on your skin, I would suggest always doing a test first, a skin patch test first, to make sure you don't have allergic reactions. Jojoba oil, coconut oil, olive oil, almond oil, those are all great base oils, and then you can add a few drops to it. So I would probably put, you know, if you use a little bottle, most of the bottle with the carrier oil, and then a few drops of the essential oil. You can rub that on your third eye. I always like to do the back of my neck too, because I look at the third eye going through, not just one location. You could do it on your heart area to open up the heart, because the heart is the chakra that's in the center of the chakras, and it also connects us to loved ones, those who have gone before us. If you're doing any work with your hands, doing it on the center of your palm. And I also like to do the arch of my feet. So right in the arch of my feet, I like to do as well for the steps I take in life. And access. So if you're going outside and getting barefoot, putting those feet on the ground, it's nice to have that essential oil. Lavender, rosemary, mugwort, frankincense, sage. These are great essential oils to use when trying to make spirit contact. If you don't want to use a base oil, you can always use distilled water instead. And you can even use that in a spray bottle and spray instead. These are different ways to access the spirit realm that I find help me. Another way is doing journal writing, and some know it as like automatic writing, where you just take a pen or a pencil, preferably a pencil because it can easily glide on paper. And, you know, again, anything you do with spirit, you cast that circle of protection. Close your eyes, use your hand, and hold it gently and ask for the spirit realm to communicate with you, and put that pencil on your paper and allow it to start writing. I know when I learned this technique when I was, 20 or 22 years old, and I used to do it all the time. And at first it would always come through as scribbles, and it wasn't me writing, it would just happen. But obviously scribbles aren't going to be much communication, but at least it was a start. Eventually it did start with still like spirals and circles, but sometimes some letters such as an A or a C or an E, those came through. So I never fully developed that skill where I could write down words, having spirit write down words through me, but many have. So it might be your gift, but I will say most times when you start out, you're going to get spirals and circles. And that's okay. So if you want to do that, that's another way to start that gift, to start that different technique to use for spirit communication. Like I said, I think meditation is also another really great tool to use. If you're someone who doesn't like to meditate, to just sit or lay down and eyes closed, I find it hard. That's why it's another reason why I love walking in nature, because I call it the mind meditation, where I can easily walk and tune out everything around me, because nature helps me to relax and it helps me to be in the present moment, instead of worrying about all these other little things or getting distracted. Like I know when I've done meditation, guided meditations in a group, people never sit still the whole time, and I'll hear the shuffling or a little bit of a clearing of a cough or even a sneeze, and it distracts me, and I never fully get totally in unless I'm by myself. But even still, for me, walking in nature, it's a great way for me to do walking meditation, and you will be able to communicate and receive. Like you can ask the wind to gently blow when it's a nice windless day. And I usually will say energies of air, after I've called the spirit I want to communicate with, like I'm trying to talk to you, Dad, please let me know you're here. Please move the wind for me so I know that you are listening. And it might not happen in that instant, but maybe within less than a minute it happens. And I'll say as it happening, if that is really you and you're hearing me, please make that wind pick up so I know you've heard me. If it doesn't, then it might have just been, nature doing its thing. But many times it has. It'll gust all of a sudden, like the wind will pick right up after I've asked that request. And again, it doesn't happen right away. So that's why I clarify if you really hear me. Same thing with using candles. If you are using a candle and you can ask the flame to flicker, if you hear me, if you see me, if you know me, please make this candle flame flicker where it's not flickering at all. So make sure you are not having any wind or any air area in where you are that is going to cause that flame to flicker anyway, if you want true communication. Again, getting yourself a pendulum. Pendulums work really well. Let me see, do I have? Oh yeah. One of the things that I've done a long time ago, and I have actually, different ones, but I'm not using them. I just got a little board. This is made of tree bark and a tree, and I just wrote on it. I have yes, no, and maybe, and more info. And I use my pendulum right over that. So always ask if you've never used one, you want to cleanse it and bless it first. And again, making sure only those who wish you well communicate with you. And I always charge it with sage before, bless it with sage before, and I also cleanse it with sage after, or Palo Santo. And then I put it on a thing of Himalayan salt just for more cleansing afterwards, after I'm done using it. Ask your pendulum what is a yes and what is a no. Sometimes if you don't have this and you just need, this one will say yes or no, right? Because it will go in that way, yes, no, maybe. But if you don't have anything to use, you can use your pendulum. And I always used to use it just over my hand and holding it. And say, what is a yes, what is a no? Show me a yes, show me a no. A yes might be, you'll see it go back and forth. A no might be a circle. And you want to do that each time. If you don't have, or even make one of these little things, if you're really creative and artistic, you can wood burn one of these. I don't have that artistic gift, so I used a marker and different colors and I wrote on it. So like I said, do that. Always ask though, if you're just using your hand, because you don't have a little thing to use, a disc to use, ask, show me a yes, show me a no. It's either going to be a circle or a straight line. And that's also important to know. And then I also say, if it's a maybe, don't move it at all. And you won't, and your pendulum won't move at all. So these are different things that you can do to help you when you are trying to do spirit communication during the time of Samhain, during the time of October, where the veil is thin, to help you. I know a lot of us want to communicate with loved ones on the other side, and even our pets. You know, you might smell something or see something that you haven't seen that you put away a while ago, and all of a sudden you're in that drawer and you pulled it out, you know, like the little dog booties or one of their toys, and you're like, oh my goodness, this is, you know, my dog so and so, this is my kitty cat. And it helps you. It lets you know that they know you. I always ask my dogs to come in my dreams if I feel like I need them at that time. And I think animals tend to come forth easier than humans do. So you may want to start with that if you've had a precious animal in your life that is now over on the other side, the rainbow bridge, we call it, for the animals that we love. I wouldn't try to willy-nilly who you're trying to communicate with. I wouldn't just say anybody come through or the spirit of so-and-so come through that you don't even know, especially if you're not adept at doing this type of work. If you've never communicated with the other side, if you just started a magical path, or if you're only just curious, I would not try to communicate with any kind of spirit or energy out there. I would be very specific with who you're trying to communicate with and have it be someone that you know that is now on the other side. I wouldn't be like, I want to communicate with the spirit of Janis Joplin because I like Janis Joplin. I wouldn't do that, especially, like I said, if you've never done this type of work at all. Focus on those you know, actually know, because you don't want to, again, open yourself up to anybody. You have no idea who a celebrity is. You have no idea who a historical figure was. You only know what you've read about, what you've seen, their portrayal of themselves, okay? So again, who you know in your line. Even ancestral, you could ask your ancestors that you would have it met to come through because you're looking for answers regarding your heritage. But again, always clarify those who wish me well. Those who wish our family well may enter. And then at the end, like I've already said, please thank them for coming, for giving you a message, or that they will be coming through to you later on, and that you are open to receive that message at a later time if they can't right now. And then thank you, and I release you from this space and this circle, and then open that circle back up. If you have any questions, please feel free to drop a comment below and let me know. I hope that was helpful for you. May you all have a magical Samhain and a magical October. Blessed be.